I know, again, I know people are really scared of change, and that's completely valid and fine, because I am too. It's learning to really accept it, right? But it's also learning to not forget along the way what makes something so valuable. You know, I mean, we see it happening all the time, really. It's doing it to the art, it's doing it to relationships. It is becoming quite destructive, if I was to say. It's a little unfortunate, but you know, for the most part, I think while we're here, while we're still here on the ride, I think the beauty in this is at least we're all here together, right? And we probably came the same way. We're probably going to go the same way. So, you know, for what it's worth, I'm extremely happy to be here with you all. I'm extremely grateful that we're all here together right now, right? With that being said, it's easy to die. It really is, but it's really hard to live, right? So that's why I'm saying you got to learn to be grateful for your life, and it's so easy to just give up. It really is. It's a lot harder to live, and some people might agree with that or disagree with that. But I think the reason why we're so compelled to live is because we all want to somehow connect, and we all somehow want to feel like we exist and we are seen on such a huge, I guess you could call a huge plane of existence. I don't know how to really put that into words, but you know what I mean. And for the most part, I think there's a lot of beauty just being in these moments, and just taking a step back and really breathing in what's in front of you, because it could be gone. It could be taken away anytime, and I like to live like it's my last every single time. Maybe that's what I do, how I do everything, really, right? And again, it's not something that you should really like dwell on. I know I'm an overthinker. I think way too much. So I never give myself more than 10 minutes to think about something that might potentially ruin my day, because I go down an extreme rabbit hole as such. But again, it's because I'm aware. I think you have to sometimes, once in a while, check yourself. If you don't check yourself, let your friends check yourself. But sometimes that ego of yours, you've got to learn how to tame it. It's not wrong to have an ego. I think that's somewhat of a self-defense mechanism of being proud of yourself. But I think when it gets tainted, it's only because people start testing it in a very malice way. And that's why I say, don't assume that it's malice, always assume that it's ignorance. Because from ignorance, I think you truly know how to win somebody over when you change them, not when they change you. If you feel like from a certain talk or a certain conversation you had, you feel more bad intent to somebody, and because of that, it's not leaving your head, then that person has ultimately changed you and is now over you, I think. Again, for me personally, I like to think I win somebody over by allowing them to accept the change and see it from my perspective. I don't think it wouldn't, and some people might not give a shit. Some people are like, once I'm done with this person, I'm done. And that's fine. To each to their own. For me, I know I'm the person that has it in the back of my mind. I care too much. So yeah, that's just kind of, I know I went on a bit of a rant there. I think, ironically, I said I'm not going to talk too much. I mean, I'm not going to think too much, but I'm thinking out loud here. So, give me a bit. But anyway, that's kind of it. So I just want to say I appreciate it. Skins was a song, again, that was made completely at one of my most vulnerable states, which is why I think more the reason so I think I've learned to develop my stage of accepting to even be remotely be able to put this out there. Because for me, that if you asked me even 2 years back, I wouldn't even have the guts to be able to do that, because I was, for me, if I was being completely honest, it's so hard for me to talk about certain mental health and stuff like that, because I've always found it very embarrassing for myself. And I'm saying this because I'm just want to be completely honest. It isn't something that I've always felt comfortable, not even on this, but just amongst my friends and families, I think, which is why I've always had to disconnect with them, because it's kind of like this. It's some people get to choose not to show their vulnerable side. Like, you get to choose, your deepest, darkest secrets, and your deepest, darkest moments of yourself, and you get to choose not to show that to people sometimes. Well, I hope so. But sometimes, for me, I can't choose that, and every time I'm out of it, they say it's okay, but I'm honestly floored because of embarrassment. But anyway, because of that, I think I've always learned to hide it. I have never been a good asker. I can't really ask. I'm terrible at asking for things, because deep down somehow I feel like I don't deserve it enough. So I have that trait of mine. But at the same time, if that gets tested too much, then you become someone that just wants to take. And I've been there. I've been in one of my most darkest moments to realize that's so far from the truth of who I really am. And I think you have to get to that point. I hate to say it, but I think for people that are kind of very similar to me, you have to get to that point to realize that it's so far from the truth of what you think you are. And it's going to break you down. It's going to tear you from limb. But once you realize, when you start getting sewn back up, you realize, oh, I've always been this type of person. I've always been here. And that's why I say cherish your lows as much as you love your highs, because I think your lows is where you really learn how to transform yourself into transform and grow into the person that you should become over time. I think that's what makes you a fighter. And that's why I've never detested my lows. I have detested it when I was maybe in high school. Because again, puberty and all that shit. What do you know? You just want to run away, or every single time someone says some shit to you. So for me, I've learned to hate it, go down there, have a conversation, come back up, go back down, hate it again, detest it, try cutting it down, try avoiding it, only to go back down again. And then realizing that all hope is lost, and this is kind of what my life is going to be looking like. And then coming out of that, realizing, I'm looking at it from a different angle. I've always been looking at it from a different perspective. And that has always, it never is what you really think it is. So I look back and I think, I used to look back and I used to think, man, look at all the shit that's been done to me, man. Look at all these fucking scars. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I'm never like this. I was never like this. I look at myself and I look down. I'm like, I can't believe half the things that I've done on my body, and I can't believe half the things that I've dealt with. And I was always so pissed off at the state I am in, because I always thought that was never me. I always thought that was just so far from who I think I really am. So I've always detested it, and that was where my first thought went to when I thought about the past. But now I look, and then, it's so funny, and then I look again. I don't look at me, all right? I don't look at me this time. I look at I look at what has happened on the flip side. I look at the people's faces when I go on stage. I look at the conversations that we have about the most inspiring things that I hear I look at my team, I look at the life that I could provide them. Sometimes I look at the just the friends and families just cheering me on, you know, backstage. And you know, I just sometimes see, and I look at this community that is very present right now. And you know, and then when I see that, I'm like, oh shit, you know, maybe it was so necessary. It was very needed, and it was very something that I can finally now find peace in, because it's something that I think I've always had trouble with finding some type of, you know, connection with. Because again, I always thought, man, I hate giving so much to the point where I think people are just going to take again. So, but again, that's my nature, and what can you really do about that, really? So I learned how to accept it, because I've learned how to look at it from a different spectrum. And you know, for what it's worth, even if you have just one friend telling you thank you, that makes a world of a difference to somebody like me. A world of a difference. I don't need no fancy cars. I don't need no freaking money. I don't need any of that shit. I just need sometimes to be, I guess, appreciated. I think that's what the word is. I think people need to be appreciated. But you need to communicate. I think that's key. If you don't know how to communicate with people, then it's I've always thought you got to make the effort to. And if you don't make the effort to communicate, then you know, then you shouldn't complain, because you know deep down what you should do. But sometimes you might think, oh, it's so hard, it's so easier said than done. You're right. So then let yourself feel it, let yourself go through it, and then once you come out of it, I think that's when you're ready to move on. More and more slowly. Go at your own pace. Everyone has a different pacing. Don't expect everyone to go at the pace that you're going, you know, and vice versa. So again, don't assume it's malice. Always assume it's ignorance first, and then if it turns out to be guilty, and if it turns out to be somewhat of malice, then, you know, again, I'm sorry, it's unfortunate, but again, it's kind of weird, but you have to feel like there's some type of there's always blessings in disguises. Everything's a blessing in disguise. Everything. You just got to look at it from that perspective. But it takes time to get there. I believe. I'm still learning. I'm not really good myself, but again, it's something that I feel like I want people to understand. I want people to know. As dark and as broken as my music might sound, you gotta understand, it's not telling people to be broken. It's telling people to feel it and move on. And I like to believe my life is an experiment of that, and I am putting on that show, you know. I never want to ever pedestal something, or, you know what I mean? I never want to advocate for something or pedestal something, because I'm not anywhere near knowledgeable in that field as you are. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a professional psychologist. So I can't really recommend what helps and what doesn't. But I can provide you some insight on my journey and what I go through. And for me, as long as I'm real with that, and as long as I show progress, I think there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like I said, some people just want to be seen. And for the people that just want to be seen, they'll never ask. I know that for a fact. So this one's for you guys. Yeah. This one's for everyone. Yeah. So again, thank you so much for being part of this TED Talk. It was absolutely marvelous, especially after the spontaneous drops of Skins. I'm gonna look at the JJK thing a little bit more. You know, I love seeing it, guys. So if you have more, make more, because me and my team, we love watching it. We might do a reaction video to it. Fuck, we might do a reaction to all of them. That should be quite fun, actually. Who would have known, eh? But yeah, I'm here for it. You know, maybe next time I should go to like Comic-Con or something, Anime Expo. But anyway. So yeah, that's that. What else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, and we have a few more surprises. You know, a few more surprises here and there. It's a bit it's kind of funny because, you know, you might think this guy never rests. Well, I do. I do rest. Well, hopefully, I feel like my schedule's gonna end next year March. I'm already looking at it like that. But you know, it's because I'm good. It's because I can. I love it right now. I don't, you know, it's not hectic or it's not hard. I'd rather do it right now. So for all the new listeners and the newcomers out here, welcome. I welcome you to the show. I'm not too much of a complicated person. I'm rather more of a simple person, although my music and my lore might seem quite intricate. But no, for me, it doesn't matter if you really get it. It matters if it means something to you in any other way, personally. So you can do it with it as you please. Like I said, I'm only here to put on a show. And you're welcome to come and stay, and you're welcome to go. So, again, it's, yeah, that's pretty much it. You know, there's no... Yeah, I don't really know what else to say, really. I do realize that TikTok has so many things on their live. Like there's like these interesting filters. There's something that has 4K. There's something. I you know what? Before I didn't know you can turn off the whatchamacallit. I didn't know you can turn off the GIFs and all that. So I was kind of struggling really bad there because I didn't want people to start using money on me, because I felt like you could use that for a better reason. So, but then they did have the option of turning it off. So I was like, oh, great. I can now do TikTok lives, not at the expense of everyone's wallets. So I'm so happy I'm so happy they have an option that you can turn off. So yeah. So anyway, it's getting pretty dark. I think it already is. But it's only 6. Daylight savings, maybe. Goodness, I miss Australia. I really do. I haven't been back ever since COVID. So I feel like every single time I go back, like something's changing. Something's like changing again and again and again. Like it just keeps bloody changing. And I do miss a little bit of my childhood. Yes, darling, I'm in LA. Hi to Brazil. You know what? Speaking of Brazil, I think one of my most memorable shows were at Brazil. I didn't know if I said this to anyone. I think I was in Brazil, and I think that was when we were in the middle of our tour, and I was just mentally drained. Obviously, shit was happening behind closed doors, but I think that was one of the first moments I switched during tour, and I had such a bad episode that day that I didn't even know if I could go on stage and perform. And I remember we had like a meet and greet before the show, and I remember the fans. I couldn't look, so I had to wear shades, I believe. But I remember the fans being extremely intuitive. They were extremely intuitive of how I was, and I've never felt so understood at that point, because you got to understand, it was the first time that I switched on tour, and I felt like the people in Brazil are very, very welcoming and warm, and the energy is just something else. I remember playing that show as half Mito and half myself, and I just remember I think that it was a moment where I was extremely succumbed by emotions because of how warm it felt inside that place. And that was, again, one of my most memorable experiences. And then obviously Mexico was, again, that was I think one of my favorite cities. I got some downtime to go outside and hang out, and we met a lovely friend that showed us the whole of that city, and it was by fate that me, John, Eddie, and Miguel, our bodyguard at the time, we ran into like a great friend of mine. Well, now she's a really good friend of mine, and she showed us around, and it was quite interesting because I've never really got to experience it like that, so I had such a good time there too, but now I don't know, like I'm kind of I don't know, I wonder what it'll feel like if I went back on tour and I went back to see you guys. Would you guys come out again and see this, I guess, a bigger stunt, because now I think a lot of the fans now also have a bigger and deeper understanding of the artistry that I'm putting out. What was so funny is me and my team, especially me and Chunyong, our stylist, we've always talked about how much can we tell our fans, and once our fans really understand who Mito is and who Mr. Insanity is, we always like to make a joke later on when we go on show. Fans will probably want to guess who's on that stage. Is it Mito, or is it Insanity, or is it Ian? And funny enough, my team knows the difference because they already have been seeing this and that. So they have more information on it. They were accessible to more resources on that term. So they already knew who I was going up as. But to now fans, when they see it, it'll be like a bit of a guessing game, really. But again, I think I'm going to make that a little bit more prominent. So just because it's a lot more fun, so that could be quite interesting. What else was I going to say? Oh yeah, so yeah, I can't wait to see you guys again, and I can't wait to really just be there for you guys. I loved all of Asia. I loved obviously Europe was amazing. I tell you, that crowd is something else. And now I really want to start going to a lot of these different places. Like I remember even like going to Peru was one of the biggest things that I wanted to do, because Peru was one of the places, the first place that I went by myself and backpacked. And I'll never forget that moment, because it was just it was a life-changing experience. Putting yourself out there, and I healed so much from that trip that I had to go back. So I went back again. I walked the same Inca trail, and I went to Machu Picchu, landed at Cusco, and it was better the second time. And then I went to do a show there, and we ended up being on the news. And that was crazy, because we landed at the airport, and we didn't know what all these big cameras were doing, and my goodness, they welcomed us with open arms, and we were on the news, and it was so much fun. It was, such good times. I can't believe that was just last year. Can you believe it? Can you believe tour was last year? I can't believe it. I can't believe tour ended with the Korean show. 한국에서 끝난 게 잊혀지지가 않는데, 진짜 이번 연도에 한국 단콘을 그때 끝났다고? 이번 연도였다고? Sorry, I started talking in Korean there. Wow, I can't believe it. I can't believe it wasn't even that long ago. It felt like ages. What the hell happened? Wow. So yeah, that was another interesting thing, What else was I going to say? Oh yeah. Oh man. There's a lot of things that I think still need a bit of sorting out here and there, but in due time. I would love to visit more countries. You know, I do want to make it a bit of a passion project of mine that I want to go out to later on. I want to go out to a lot of remote areas that fans don't really have access to. That, like, obviously the bigger countries, the bigger cities, obviously we're always going to be doing that. But I want to also make it like a little bit of a passion project to go out to remote areas that have like maybe just a few fans there, and give a performance there too, because I think sometimes people aren't accessible to a lot of these places. And you know, for me, I don't even give a shit. I don't care if we make. I mean, I shouldn't be saying this, but I don't care if I don't make any profit margin from this. I might, fuck it, I'll use my own money to go. I want to do that later on. Just, you know, I've always felt it was a lot more intimate sometimes when you're in a little room and you only have a few fans or a few people that can be in reach, and you know, it's just a little cozy little moment for you guys to enjoy and you know, sing along and stuff like that. I love the big shows. I love the big spotlights and you know, the big, like, I don't know, the extravagant moments as well. But I also learned to understand that sometimes it's also about having the more intimate type of shows, and I've always wanted to do that because I fell in love with stuff like that when I was a kid. I went to like these local lounge, I guess you could call jazz cafes or something. You know, it's so funny. My dad used to take me here and there, but you know, I used to go there and I was just I felt everyone was so damn cool, and you know, like there's some magic to that, just having it. I mean, I didn't have any wine or anything because I was a bit too young, but you know, I had my little apple juice or what you could call it, and I just loved watching people perform. And I thought one day, if I had the chance, I would love to do that for people. You know, I would love to just, I don't know. And another thing, because people said something. If I ended up being a Spotify #1 artist, congratulations. Goodness, we did it. I can't believe it. I can't believe that I could even be that person to you. It's quite amazing to really think how much DPR has come, and how much I get to now know you guys. It's quite crazy, and this would never have happened if I didn't go through what I went through the way I did. So I think if I'm on your top artist of Spotify, thank you so much. Thank you dearly. I promise I'll keep making it till when I can. And maybe you guys could keep making some awesome edits. Because I love watching edits and I love watching reaction videos. I really do. Speaking of, I think I did something with a special YouTube content creator, and that should be quite insightful and that should be quite fun. So I had a lot of fun doing that too. So yes, so keep an eye out for that too, and an eye out for something else that's going to come out pretty soon. Oh god, okay, yeah, I'm not going to spoil it too much. But anyway, Dear Insanity is in your top 1 album. Thank you so much. I love Dear Insanity. I really do. But you know what's so funny? So I think people are more familiar with Murder, but you have to also give Mr. Insanity a chance too, because it's going to take some time to get used to. We took about 3 years to get used to Murder, so I think we're going to give some shine to Insanity here and there. So again, the law's not finished. It's just beginning. And what do you call it? Skins. Yes. I'm sorry. I think I will want to obviously master and mix it and put it out as some type of form. But the beauty in Skins is how raw and uncut and really untouched it is. I immediately know for a fact that I know I want to make it more accessible to like streaming platforms. That'll be the only way I would ever mix it or master it. But I already know, like, if I do that too, I think people are gonna. I already see the comments. People are gonna be like, "I like the raw better because of because of how much it now assimilates and means something to this period, to this state period." Yeah. Sorry, I had a bit of a brain freeze there. So yeah, I'll constantly try working on developing my music taste and skills, and you know, it's still in development. I only know what I can hear, and I only know what I can. I can do what I know. My God, my brain is absolutely fried right now. I only can do what I know. So again, I only know how to express myself at that certain moments. I don't think I've ever apologized for how I felt. Neither should you. Honestly, don't apologize about how you feel. But then don't let it succumb you to the point where you do something irrational, right? Stop yourself there. You don't want to live with permanent scars just over a 5-minute irrational combustion of something that you can't contain. Don't let. I always say, you probably have to go there once, or maybe twice, or maybe 3 times to really know. And again, it's completely fine, you know. So yeah, thank you guys. I just want to say thank you. You know, the whole point of coming on was really just to thank you guys for Spotify actually. But yeah, it was such an amazing journey, and still forever going to be. And for everyone that's just new here, that's coming out and is a newcomer, I welcome you dearly. You're free to stay, free to go, but for what it's worth, I do want to have our community, our dreamers, really stick together. You know, I think the one thing about proudest thing that I'm the most proud of our fandom is because we're so intuitive and we're so in touch with ourselves. And I think more so it's because of that level of sensitivityness. I think you're well aware of a lot of things. Therefore, you can be very well aware of knowing how to bond with people. And, you know, I think understanding is a big thing. And you might think right now, for those that might think you feel troubled or you feel broken. Again, I'm right there with you, Abe. I'm right there with you. But if we're gonna get through this, we're gonna get through it together. So, as long as you don't put your your ropes down, I won't put mine down. Right? So likewise, I expect you to meet me halfway. Okay? So, thank you. I love you all dearly. Right? And make sure to smile a bit. You know, you don't have to smile, but you could try forcing it sometimes. But who knows, that might be a little bit scary too, so you got to make sure your smile looks somewhat unhinged, right? Anyway, love you all. I think that was one of the most longest lives I've ever been doing. I've been talking so much that my brain is like, back it up a little, back it up. But hey, Skins, go listen to it. 그리고 뭐라고 해야지? Dear Insanity. We're not done yet. I love you all. I love you. Love you, love you, love you. Mwah.